You might not know it, but there are instruments all around you. They come in many shapes, sizes, colours, and materials, but they must all have one thing in common: they make sound. But where do we draw a line for what defines an instrument? I mean, the spoons are classified as an instrument, but last time I checked, the spoons are meant for eating food, not making music. But this isn't a new thing. Archaeologists discovered a Neanderthal flute made from a cave bear bone that is estimated to be over 40,000 years old. Other ancient instruments include an ancient lithophone, a bull roarer, and many other flutes. Each of these instruments are made from pretty basic materials, but they all make sound in some way or another, which means that they are musical instruments. So we've worked out that for an object to be a musical instrument, it needs to produce sound. But the sound also needs to be controllable, so that another person can play the instrument according to a score. Okay, so here we have a piece of paper and we'll see if it can be an instrument. First of all, does it make sound? It does. Now we need to see if we can control that sound. Music to my ears. Now that this paper ticks both boxes, we can officially call it an instrument. Technically, this means that you can call yourself a musician if you can play the paper. It's up to you whether you agree or disagree with this, but realistically, these two statements are all you need to define what an instrument is. If we apply these same questions to a guitar, we will soon discover that a guitar is, in fact, a musical instrument. It makes sound, and we can control it. So, if pretty much everything in the universe that makes a sound is an instrument, then we have a bit of a problem on our hands. How do we classify all these instruments? Erich Moritz von Hornbostel and Kurt Sachs asked the exact same thing over 100 years ago. These two guys were ethnomusicologists, which means that they studied the meaning of music in different societies and cultures, as well as how people interact with music. Their most notable work is their invention of the Hornbostel-Sachs musical instrument classification system, which categorizes instruments based on the way that they produce sound. Before we get into this, let's take a quick crash course on how sound works. Sound is the vibration of air which is picked up through our ears. A sine wave looks like this. When it is at high pitch, the wave is compressed. When it is a low pitch, the wave is stretched out. The amplitude determines the volume. Every single sound we hear has a wave, but they are much more complex than sine waves. Let's look at how a djembe drum produces sound. When the drum is hit, the drum skin vibrates, producing a vibration in the air that travels to our ears. This drum is a membranophone, which are instruments that make sound through the vibration of a membrane, or the drum skin. The categories that these guys came up with include membranophones, idiophones, chordophones, and aerophones. Idiophones are idiots. Nah, just kidding. Idiophones produce sound when they are struck, like a xylophone. Chordophones produce sound through the vibration of strings, like a guitar, and aerophones produce sound through the vibration of air, like a flute. Let's go back to our piece of paper. This would be a membranophone because when we do this, the paper vibrates and it makes a sound. But the Hornbostel-Sachs music system is not perfect. What about electronic instruments like the electric guitar, the synthesizer, or a DAW? Well, they didn't really have this problem because this system was invented in the early 1900s. There are a lot of musical instrument classification systems out there, but one that was created by Bert Bongers and published in 2006 focuses on classifying instruments based on technological stages rather than how the sound is produced. Now we can classify electronic instruments. An electric guitar falls under the electric category, an analog synth falls under the electronic analog category, and a DAW is under the computer category. There are so many complex instruments like the piano, the organ, or the spoons, but instruments don't necessarily need to be complex in order to be called an instrument. As long as they produce sound and you can control that sound, then it's an instrument. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.